right, so where should I begin? Probably, I guess, the beginning. Tell you guys a little bit about my background, and then a little bit about the business. All right, so I'm originally from South Carolina. I moved to California in 2004. Went to De Anza College, played football there. Got a football scholarship to Pittsburgh State University. My college roommate's actually from Tulsa, or Glenpool, Oklahoma. So, hey, you ever heard of Head and Country Barbecue?
No.
Okay, when you go there, you gotta try that place.
Is that right in downtown Tulsa?
It is some very good barbecue. Well, it's barbecue sauce, but it's very, very good. But I graduated in 2009, degree in criminal justice. Originally wanted to be a police officer. When I moved back to California from Kansas, economy wasn't doing all that great. So that was 2009. That was right after the housing market crash. You know, a lot of people lost homes, retirements, jobs, things like that. So when I graduated, I'm just like, okay, well, what should I do? It was very hard to get a job, so I did what most college graduates do: take any job, right? Just take any job you can find. So I ended up installing alarm systems for ADT. You guys heard of ADT before? Yeah, so I was crawling in attics, you know, in basements, and installing stuff or whatever. So did that for a while. It was actually pretty fun, you know. So even though I got a degree in criminal justice, I ended up installing alarm systems. Still kind of like, I guess, crime prevention, right? Still kind of crime prevention. But anyway, ended up working job after job after job. Fast forward to a few years ago, and working corporate AT&T. Doing pretty well there, but work-life balance wasn't what I needed it to be. You know, so I have an 11-year-old son. Also, I help take care of my mom because she's disabled, and just on the salary that I was making there, it just wasn't enough to, you know, be able to take care of all those responsibilities, right? So I started looking for different options, and I was thinking, should I go back to school? Should I try something else? And then one day, this guy just walks into the store that I was working at, driving a Tesla, same age as me. So I was like, wow, I wonder what does he do? Sat down and talked with him for a while, and he told me he was in financial services. And I'm like, really? I was like, well, how do you get into that? Like, did you have to go to school? Because I was thinking about going to get another degree. And he was like, no, you don't really have to do that. You just have to study, take a test, and then basically learn the business. And I'm like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. I mean, I hate what I'm doing now, so I might as well try that, you know, right? So he basically sat me down, had a conversation with me. After one conversation with him, he made me believe that I could be my own business owner. He made me believe that I could also choose to work with only the people that I wanted to work with. But I remember the most important thing that stood out to me was when I grew up, I wanted to be a pro athlete. I wanted to play football. But the real reason I wanted to do that was I wanted to just be able to take care of my family. Like, I'm really big on like giving back and being able to take care of my family, because I got a big family, you know, from South Carolina. And growing up there, super small town, everybody knows everybody. And that was just something that was just always like instilled in me, like from a child. But it made me believe that I could still accomplish all those dreams and goals that I had when I was growing up by coming into this type of an industry. So that's a little bit about my background. Here's a little bit about what I do. All right, so I work for World Financial Group. So I'm the senior marketing director there, and we're not just a financial services company. We're actually a leadership development company, right? Because we like to be able to give anybody the same opportunity that we have to basically go out and change their legacy, and also be able to help other people, right? So have you ever seen any of these companies before?
Yep.
Which ones look familiar?
All of them.
All of them?
I'm appointed with a couple of them.
You are great, great. All right. So you guys know. So these are just some of the companies that we work with. But keep in mind, we have over 300 companies that actually use our platform, right? So we're basically the largest financial services distributor in the entire United States, okay? Now, to keep in mind just how large we are now and where the company is going, I firmly believe within the next 10 to 20 years, we will be to the financial services industry what Amazon is to online shopping, which is, everybody knows how big Amazon is, right? So these are just some of the things that we help people with. Fixed index annuities, super popular, because what's the #1 fear of people when they retire? Running out of what?
Money.
Money. You gotta have an annuity, especially now, right? Life insurance. This is a big one. Everybody in here have life insurance?
Yes.
Yes? Great. Now, most people think about life insurance, they think about the old kind, the kind that pays out when you die, right?
Yeah.
So what I like to talk about is the new type. That's actually with living benefits. You can actually use this money while you're still alive, right? long-term care. This is extremely huge now, especially like with the state of where, you know, Medicare is going and things like that. They actually have life insurance policies with long-term care riders attached. You can basically save yourself hundreds of dollars by having a life insurance policy with a long-term care bundled in, right? College plans. These are really big, especially like with my friends and family now, because we all have young kids and we all want them to go to college and get a good education. So we got a couple ways we can do that. Index Universal Life. Anybody ever heard of that? I know you guys heard of most of it, right? Yes, so this is the #1 investment vehicle in the United States, point blank period. Super popular right now. 401k IRA rollovers. So my job is I basically roll people's money out of the stock market, so I'm on the opposite side. I'm more of an in guarantee, but if you want to roll it in, I can refer you to somebody who can actually help you with that as well. And then executive bonus plans. So these are for small business owners or big business owners who actually would like to reduce their business taxes, at the same time create a tax-free income stream for themselves or for their employees, key employees. So these are just some of the things that we do, but we really just want to be able to teach people and give them the power of choice. Because what we find is that a lot of people, I was one of these people myself. You get a job, you're so excited, you get your benefit package from work, you got your health, you got your retirement, you got all these things, but nobody ever really sits down and explains how those things work, right? So then what happens? You work 40 years, and in 40 years you retire with like 40% of your income, because nobody really sat down and explained like what basically goes on, right? So what I do is I teach people some basic rules of money, right? So I'm gonna share with you guys some rules of money. Let's see how smart we all are in this room, okay? The first one is called the Rule of 72. Does everybody know what compound interest is? Yeah, good, good. You want to go ahead and explain that one for me?
Yeah. If you know the interest rate of an investment, divide it into 72, the number you get is the number of years it takes to double your money.
That's 100% correct, right? So compounding interest is when your interest earns interest, and the rule of 72 is if you take 72, you divide it by your interest rate, that's the amount of time it takes for your money to double. Now, does everybody have a bank account?
How many?
Right. So, who do you bank with, Rich?
Well, First Republic, Union, and Chase.
Chase. How much interest does Chase give you on your money?
Well, the Union's giving me 1.75.
That's a great interest rate.
You're right.
That's a great interest rate, especially at a bank. The reason why I say that is because most banks, on average, is below 1%, right? So if you're actually
First
saving,
Republic was 0.05 and I moved it.
really, and they helped you out with that, huh? That's good. That's a blessing, actually.
So Mary's Credit Union is giving 3% within
With
a range of money.
Yeah, for a very small range, unfortunately.
Well, I'll never go over the amount where it starts to decrease, because I don't have that much money.
All right, so great. So let's use 3%. Does anybody got a calculator?
Phone.
24.
24? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so basically every 24 years
I
the
was
money's
a
up.
math major.
Oh,
You were a business major. I was a math major.
All right, so basically so that's the rule of 72. So actually most people have their money in accounts that are earning anywhere between 0% up to 6% on average. But a lot of these companies here, and you can even find this in the market, you can actually average 10%, right? So basically that means if you have your money in the right account, then your money could basically double for you every 7 years, right? So let's say if we had $10,000, we were at age 29, which we haven't probably been, including myself, in a long time. Right, so
Try different age groups.
So
That's not gonna help us a lot.
it's not right. What is the average age in here?
80?
Over 29.
Over 29.
Yeah.
You guys are tough crowd.
29 with decades of experience.
That's right.
Perfect.
There we go.
We're gonna roll with it. All right, basically. Okay, so where we at? Oh, so the second thing I show people is how money grows. So there's only 3 ways money can grow. First way is fixed. Anybody know what fixed is?
Yeah, 6%.
That's your bank account. That means little or no growth. The good thing about a fixed account is you're not losing any money. So you think, what's the bad thing about a fixed account?
Inflation.
Inflation, right? Inflation is 3 to 4%. So if your money isn't growing at 3 to 4%, then what's going to happen? You're losing money, right? So it's safe in the bank, but also maybe a little bit too safe, right?
You're losing purchasing power.
Losing purchasing power, right? So what do they tell us to do? We go diversify when we get a variable account, right? So in a variable account, your money's going up and down with the stock market, right? Market is up, you're earning, and if people have been watching the news lately, what's been happening?
Down.
Down, right. So, so basically 90% of people have all of their money in fixed and variable accounts, but then there's also a category called index. So in an index account, market is up, you earn, market is down, your money locks, right? Market is up again, you earn, market goes down and you lock, right? So if you guys had to pick one of these strategies for your money to grow, which one would you pick? Index. I agree. Well, then what's the reason why most people have fixed and variable accounts?
Because they don't know.
Right? They don't know, and they don't know that they don't know. But then there's another reason, right? So back in 1980, I'm sure everybody's old enough to remember this. I wasn't born yet. So I had to like go on this thing called Google. Do some research. But basically, there was a president, Ronald Reagan. Now, Ronald Reagan actually, back in 1980, there was this thing called Reaganomics going on. So all your Standard & Poor's companies basically got together because they no longer wanted to invest in unions and pensions anymore. Does anybody remember that? Does that sound familiar? That's basically why a lot of companies got away from pensions. I think even GM went bankrupt, right? Because you think about it, you own a business, you pay for your employees' benefits that are currently working, but then you also guarantee your employees who have retired the same lifestyle. So if you're a business owner,
still does.
Thankfully.
yeah, basically, right? So basically what ended up happening was they passed this law underneath the tax code, 401k. And that basically states that any company can get a tax break on their taxes for putting employees inside of a pre-taxed account, right? So basically the real reason why most people have their retirement savings in variable accounts is because it was never really intended to benefit us, the employees. It was really only intended to benefit the employers because they never wanted to be financially responsible for employees' retirement savings because it was costing too much money, right? So that's basically how that came about. Last thing we show people is how money gets taxed. There's 3 ways you can pay taxes. You pay taxes now, savings accounts, stocks, things like that. Those are going to be things where you get a 1099, you got to report them at the end of the year. And that's a very good place to have your money in. But you don't want to have too much money in there from a tax efficiency standpoint. You probably want to have about 6 months of emergency savings in those type of accounts. But then there's a category that's worse right now, and that's called tax later. So basically tax later just means that we're not going to pay the taxes today. We're going to pay them at a future date when taxes could be lower. But what's the problem right now?
They're already low.
They're already low. And we're $20 trillion in debt. So let me ask everybody a question here. Do you feel like taxes are going to be lower than they are today? About the same as they are today, or go up?
Go up.
Right. So basically, if you're saving all of your money in tax later vehicles, then you're exposing yourself to higher taxes. So, and we really don't know what those are. So basically, what
There's still advantage to that over the first one. Now,
Yes,
you're
yes.
going to hit us going to be better, but the advantage of tax deferred is it's growing, okay, based on the total amount of money,
Right.
not the amount that's left after the taxes come out of it. So
Right.
it's better than the first one.
way better.
But you're going to get to the third one, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, that's where you want to be.
Yeah, right.
Right? Right, so the last one is tax advantage, or what we like to call tax defer. So basically that means you can pay your taxes up front, put it in an account, and now all of the interest that you earn is tax free, right? So there's 2 basic ways that you can have a tax advantage or a tax free account. The first one is a Roth IRA. Those are very, very good and very, very popular, right? But there are age restrictions, there's income restrictions, and there's also contribution restrictions there. But then there's also cash accumulation and insurance policies, where there are no age restrictions, there are no income restrictions, there's some guarantees in there, and you could actually put as much money as you want inside of these type of plans. But you do have to qualify health-wise, right? So basically what we do is we try to just take a snapshot of where people are financially and basically where they want to go. And then we basically show them, like based on where they are now, which account or which type of thing would be better for them and for their long-term financial goals. So this is basically what we do with all of our clients here, or I do with all of our clients. Anybody have any questions for me? Yes.
Okay, so now, I'm bothering you. Okay, so anyway, I believe this is true. You can, if you buy a life insurance policy that builds cash value, and over a number of years you get all this money sitting in there, what you can actually do is borrow that money. You're borrowing it from yourself, and then as long as you never take any of the principal out, if you pass away, the benefit goes to your beneficiary, and nobody ever paid the taxes on that money.
Not only income, but sometimes there's estate tax, right? But then you could also protect yourself against estate taxes too with other.
So through life insurance, you can actually save money and never pay taxes on it, and I know you sell those.
Exactly. And
That's why I bring it up.
Oh, okay, exactly. Specifically, especially for like my demographic.
If he's really smart, he'll be buying you breakfast.
Yeah. for my demographic is because simply put, we know that taxes are going to be higher. Most of my friends and family, they're all saving money in tax-deferred vehicles. So basically, what that means, 30 years from now, if taxes are at like 94%, because they were at there at one point in history, then we would basically be in trouble. If Social Security is still around, if Medicare is still around, chances are they will be if they have to raise taxes, right? But basically, Social Security was never meant to be like a retirement plan. It was insurance against living too long, because when it was actually brought in back in 1913, I don't want to say the wrong number. FDR.
It's 42.
40. Okay.
I
40.
think 42.
Okay. Right. So
I don't remember that personally.
Okay.
You don't?
Yeah. Well, average life
You must
expectancy
have
was
partied
62
too hard
years
the
old.
night before.
Average life expectancy was 62 years old when Social Security came out. There was 42 workers for every one employee drawing from it, right? And you could only collect on it at age 65. So they weren't even expecting people to collect that money at all. But now that's the primary source of income for most Americans, right? So I just basically, it's super important I go out and just teach, you know, people my age demographic what we can do to protect ourselves from that. Especially if, you know, Roth IRAs, you have contribution restrictions, and a lot of people make over that amount in this area. So it kind of leaves them with only one option if they qualify for it. Other questions? Yes.
So how can we help you?
You guys have children?
Grown.
They're all grown.
They're all grown? How grown?
Teaching secretary.
30s, 40s, 50s.
I got kids at home. Yeah. But really, basically, all you help me is just spread the message and the information, because this is a day and age where you can basically Google anything you want and find the answers like in a second. Like, you can pick up your phone and learn anything you want. But the trouble is, you only really do that if it's brought to your attention, right? So really, we just want to make people aware of basically their financial health, right? Because it's super important.
So do you get paid for making people aware?
No, I don't.
So,
But I'm a firm believer in if I just do good and I do right, then I'll get that some later. I don't know when it's gonna come, but I know it'll come. Yeah.
He sells, he sells product in support of what he's espousing. And I've heard a number of World Financial Group people speak, okay, and I will tell you that for a straight introduction, this is the best I've heard. You did a
Thank you.
really nice
Good
job.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yes.
You're doing it.